Please stand on your feet. Genesis 29, verse number 31, and Genesis chapter 16, from verse number 5, and 1 Samuel chapter number 1. There are three portions of scriptures that I would like us to read. And I want you to read with me the first scripture, and then I will read the rest. Now, these are the rules of engagement. Everywhere I speak, I talk to you, you talk to me. And when we talk to each other, we're going to run the devil mad, and a miracle will happen. So tell your neighbor, loosen up. So we begin with Genesis 29, verse number 31, and then we'll go to the rest of the scriptures. Are you ready? 1, 2, 3, go. When the Lord saw that Leah was unloved, he opened her womb, but Rachel was barren. I want to read my translations. It says, and when the Lord saw that Leah was hated, he opened her womb, but Rachel was barren. Genesis 16, verse number 5 to 13. And Sarai said to Abram, may the responsibility of the wrong done to me by the arrogant behavior of Hagar be upon you. I gave my maid into your arms, and when she realized that she had conceived, I was despised and looked on with disrespect. May the Lord judge who has done right between you and me. And Abram said unto Sarai, look, your maid is entirely in your hands and subject to your authority. Do as you please with her. Sarai treated her harshly and humiliated her, and Hagar fled from her. But the angel of the Lord found her by a spring of water in the wilderness on the road to Egypt by way of Shur. And he said, Hagar, Sarai's maid, where did you come from, and where are you going? And she said, I am running away from my mistress Sarai. The angel of the Lord said unto her, go back to your mistress and submit humbly to her authority. Then the angel of the Lord said unto her, I will greatly multiply your descendants, so that there will be too many to count. The angel of the Lord continued, behold, you are with a child, and you will bear a son, and you shall call his name Ishmael, which means God hears, because the Lord has heard and paid attention to your persecution and suffering. So Ishmael will be a wild donkey of a man, and his hand will be against every man, continually fighting, and every man's hand against him, and he will dwell in defense of his brothers. Then she called the name of the Lord who spoke to her and said, you are the God who sees me. For she said, I have not even here in the wilderness remained alive after seeing him who sees me with understanding and compassion. Wow. 1 Samuel chapter number 1. We read from verse number 3 for the benefit of time. Year after year, this man went up from his town to worship and sacrifice to the Lord Almighty at Shiloh, where Hophni and Phinehas, the two sons of Eli, were priests of the Lord. Whenever the day came for Elkanah to sacrifice, he would give portions of the meat to his wife Peninnah and to all her sons and daughters. But to Hannah he gave a double portion because he loved her. But the Lord, not the devil, not witches, not haters, the Lord. Ask your neighbor, what do you do when it is the Lord? Because the Lord had closed her womb. And this is the problem. The problem is not that the Lord closed her womb, but her rival kept provoking her in order to irritate her. Verse 20. So in the course of time, Hannah became pregnant and gave birth to a son, and she named him Samuel, saying, because I asked the Lord for him. I want to have a conversation with you here for a few minutes on the subject, the shutdown is over. And I need you to give 7 people a high five and tell them the shutdown is over. And you have to speak like a prophet. Speak like a prophet. The shutdown is over. I did not say it will be over. I said it is over. Tell your neighbor, not it will be over, it is over. And then give Jesus a big shout if you believe. You may have your seats in the presence of God. I have come to discover and arrived at this conclusion in my little experience of life that every woman will deal with what I call disadvantaged. Regardless of how prayerful you are, regardless of how beautiful you are, regardless of your level of intellect, you will deal at some point with what is referred to as a disadvantage. When you have grown with disadvantages, or rather when you have grown with advantages, never had to fight anyone to access something that you badly needed, never had to face things like the desperation to be accepted in a place and the fear of being rejected in the place you have greatly invested. It becomes difficult for privileged people to create impact on the earth because disadvantages builds your spiritual muscle. It causes you to rise with a certain type of ability that cannot be shut down and cannot be put off. I was thinking about the conversations that are going on about women and how women are weak vessels and that they should be given opportunities that they don't need to fight for. They shouldn't be put in the ballots. They should just be given as an advantage. And I say to every woman that doesn't have understanding, they will look at that as a miracle. Because free things are very sweet, but cheap is very expensive because you never have it for a long time. Just as the wise saying that says, the easy comes, the easy goes. And so we have to let them get into the field there, if the words of this African saying have to come true, that what a man can do, a woman can do better, we have to let them struggle and penetrate between their disadvantages in order for them to treasure what they have later become. If you got a husband the easy way, you can let them into a prostitute who threatened you for a day. Or you know, the battle is not mine. The battle is the Lord. I will leave it. I'll trust God. I am not going to fight. But when you have gotten it the hard way, you can as well tell that woman, I would die before you can have him. Don't you dare me. Don't be fooled by my lipstick. I can do something that the world will talk about. But you cannot be that type of a woman until you have had to deal with disadvantages. The disadvantages I'm talking about is having to love a man greatly, investing great love and receiving little in return, having to be faithful at 110%, but having the reciprocation of 40%, and that becomes a disadvantage that always can drive you crazy. The warfare of a woman did not start when she noticed the mascara or the lipstick. The warfare of a woman started right from creation. When she was created, their warfare broke out. The reason why I'm saying that, it's because in her name, woman, is two words. The word man and then the word womb. She is a man, but she has a womb. So she's not called woman, she's called womb man. She has been entrusted by God to incubate the greatness that will later hit the earth, or the things that are later going to come to the sons of men from generations to generations. She was entrusted in God's status. She's suddenly in God's status. That's why her warfare has to be greater, has to be more. Because when God created the first man, then created the second man that happens to be a woman, when Adam saw her, she was made. Actually, a woman was not created. A woman was made. She was made out of what was created. This is why men, all men, if you find a man that is too sensitive on the mirror, they have female genes in them, because they were created to be rough. A woman was not created, she was made. Anything you create does not have softness, but what you make, it means it takes your sensitivity of time. This is why when she was presented to Adam, the first thing that Adam put in her name, even though God had named her woman, womb man, when Adam saw her in his pronunciation, was the wow factor. Ooh, man. There was a wow factor in that. This is why you shouldn't marry any man that is not wowed by you. I just hope I'm gonna get some amens here. And I am not a foreign preacher. This is a homeborn preacher. So you gotta talk to me better than you talk to a foreign preacher, because this is a homegrown. Never you settle down with the man that is not wowed by you. I don't care whether you're dark or you are brown, whether you got a walking style or you don't have a walking style, whether you have a figure 6 or 29, whether you have a size 8 or size 150, never you marry a man that is not wowed by you. Because in the first creation status, the woman, when she was brought to Adam, the first thing that happened to him, he said, woo, woo, man. So in her name is two powerful things that I want you to have in your mind. The first thing there is that she is the incubator of everything that God will do on the earth. And then in the second status, she is a wow factor. I don't care whether you've been told what you've been told, how you look, because most of you have succumbed to the negativities of people until you started believing in who you are not. But you need to know, even before we preach further, you are a wow factor. Even the husband that doesn't appreciate you now, if you weren't a wow factor, he shouldn't have married you in the first place. He found you to be fair than every other person, and you need to settle in your seat and do not let the devil try to push you out of there, because no position God gives you as a woman that doesn't have the wow factor in it. Give somebody a high five and tell them, I am a wow factor. Come on, give somebody a high five, tell them I am a wow factor. In case a woman next to you is not talking to you, you do not talk to them. Just reach out to the woman behind you and tell them, now I know why I have to deal with hell, why I have. And even the man who refused to marry you, he didn't refuse to marry you because you're not better. He refused to marry you because he can't handle your status, can't handle your standard, can't handle your level. Do not allow succumb to negativity. Am I preaching to anybody here? Would you look for 8 women and give them a high five? Tell them, I am a wow factor. I am a wow factor. Oh, you're not talking to somebody. You are a wow factor, and you have to believe that. You are a wow factor. You are incubator of God's greatness. You have been charged with the responsibility of bringing forth presidents, bringing forth ministers, bringing forth governors. You can't sit there and feel sorry for yourself. God put you in his status. You're not just a woman. You're not just a weakly vessel. You are in the status of God. Everything you bring out of your womb is going to run this world crazy. Am I preaching to anybody here? If you believe you are a wow factor, shout yes. I'm gonna land shortly. I'm looking for my amen corners. I'm looking for my amen corners there. Some women that are still taking care of their lipstick, I didn't come for you. If you're still taking care of your mascara, I didn't come for you. I came for a woman that is tired of being handled like a second class when she knows she's a first class. That's the one I came for. If you know you're a first class woman, I need you to shout the devil down right now, because that's your status. That's where God has put you. Lift your hands and shout yes. And so, let's have this build up. Let me try and build my case before we learn. And therefore, out of these scriptures, we find out women that dealt with disadvantages. Am I talking to anybody? Disadvantages. You're going to deal with a woman like Hagar that all of us preach against. But she was a woman of destiny. She was without no doubt a woman of excellence. She had no business to do with Abraham. She wasn't trying to take away Abraham. She wasn't trying to pick Mpango Wakando. She was taken advantage of. And the woman that took advantage of her later is driving her out. What a sorrowful thing to note, that the enemy of a woman is always a woman. Can I preach today? Are you really ready for me? This is a fact. It's a statement of truth, because 76% of the world's population, out of the 7.4 billion people, 76% are women and children. It is the truth that in the Kenyan market, at least out of the millions, about 40 millions that we have, close to 65% are women and youths. And it has been proven that youths are almost influenced by women. This is why the high and the mighty don't want to get married, because they still have influence over the youth. Which means the way a woman goes, the youth will go. But why is it that in the last election you had a woman on the ballot paper? Why couldn't the women elect? Why couldn't you pull your weight behind a woman, the 50% of you? We would not even be talking about 50 plus 1. We'll be talking about 60 and above. But the reason why we don't see more of that, it's because the enemy of a woman is a woman. I wish I could tell you how much someone can hate you for a hairstyle. I have the blessing of your spiritual mother. So can you bless me to be open with you here? You hate each other for things that are no entities, things that do not matter. A high heel shoe will make someone hate you. They will look at you and say, anajifanya, you weren't even wearing the shoe to show nobody. You were just trying to look great for yourself. They will look at you and say, anajifanya. It's the enemy of a woman. The enemy of a woman is always a woman. Look at your neighbor and say, hey sister. This girl gave up her body. She gave you her body. She gave you her dignity. She let go of her dreams of life. She wasn't trying to take away your husband. She was trying to find bread. She's coming from a disadvantaged home. She wouldn't be a maid if she was from an advantageous home. She's coming to work for you because she's living in a disadvantage. Disadvantages will cause you to do the things you weren't created to do. It will cause you to be a maid when in real essence you shouldn't be a CEO somewhere. But disadvantages will bring you to that. A disadvantage will cause you marry a man just because you waited for so long and the right man wasn't showing up, and you are afraid of having the name of your father after 35 years old, and so you settled for what had a trouser and lowered your standards of what you had dreamt about. It's all disadvantage. She's coming from a level of disadvantage and she is trying to obey her mistress. Let me tell you, a preacher that has no revelation will preach against her, and I have preached about it. Hagar must go, Hagar must go. But Hagar wasn't trying to take away Abraham. Hagar was only trying to work to earn a daily bread until her mistress talked to her and said, go into my bedroom and have it going with my husband and bring forth a child. Immediately the child comes out, she becomes an enemy. When is it justice for Hagar? Because we preach justice for Sarai. We preach justice for Sarai's baby. But when is it justice? I'm not preaching about Ishmael. I'm preaching about Hagar. Ishmael shouldn't have come if Hagar wasn't pushed to make a decision that will narrow her destiny into a box and turn her into a mother of the most threatening fellow on the earth. And so she's dealing with disadvantage to Leah is dealing with a disadvantage because she was busy trying to go to school and coming back home to obey the parents until one morning when the parents are saying, you're getting married today. She wasn't given an opportunity to date a guy, wasn't given an opportunity to go for coffee, never had to know this guy. She was just told, here is the wedding gown, wear it, today's your wedding. Having to go to bed the same night with a guy she hadn't seen his face. I can tell you for free, he hadn't seen his face, because the scripture says it was in the morning that Jacob discovered that it wasn't Rachel, it was Leah. Disadvantage of things that are shut off. And the hatred on her made God open her womb. Do not hate a sister that you make God help them. I feel like preaching in here. Do not hate a sister that you make God move on her behalf. Do not make God pull a surprise on you to silence you and make you know that he blesses whoever he wants and he raises whoever he wants. Your hatred towards a woman can cause God to move the heavens and do something for her that is not happening for you. Am I talking to anybody here? So she wasn't the right woman, but because she's been driven, angel, to a place of disadvantage, it made God move for her. And this is what I feel even before I preach, that for every woman that is dealing with a disadvantage, that disadvantage will be the reason why God moves to help you. God moves to help you. God moves to push you to another level. I wish I could tell you the car you're driving was God's answer to somebody that didn't like you. You didn't even know that they didn't like you, but God just worked out a way. And every time you're driving, they see their hatred and what they try to do to you, but they still see you standing. And when we are done with this conference, I see God pulling another surprise. Okay, you're not talking to me here. You're not talking to me. I need you to give 4 people a high five and tell them, I can feel it. I can feel it. I feel it. I can hear somebody talking to me. Tell your neighbor, I can feel it. I can feel it. I can feel it. I see God pull out a surprise of a company that will answer the manager who wants to sleep with you in order to give you a job. I see God pulling something. I wish I can just have 100 women in here that can shout the devil out of this place. Is a disadvantage, but God is going to bless you out of the disadvantage. Lift your hands and shout yes. Disadvantage. I came as a lawyer of the disadvantaged woman who attended a wedding and saw an ugly woman get married and asked herself, really? Honestly, sincerely, really? Always wondering what's wrong with me. What does my husband look for? Some of the girls your husband cheats with, if you compare yourself to them, there is no comparison. And you wonder what is wrong. What is it? You try to put up the wig, the most expensive wig. I wish I could talk about the money the women spend on the wig. I wish I could tell you it is what drives the economy of Brazil. But what do you do when you do all that and nobody notices you? And he will go and notice something else that doesn't look like you. It is even a quarter of you. Your beauty is high above. You are refined. You are dignified. You're a woman of honor. But he'll leave you at the house and go for something that is shapeless. I wish I can stop it there. He will leave you in the house and go for something that is out of control. And you wonder, what is it? God is building a disadvantage. And so one of the things that has become the greatest nightmare for every woman is low self-esteem. Because no woman has been taught to take a no from a man. Because she believes any man should fall at her appearance. It is a killer when the man looks at you and tells you you're too fat. I am not looking for your type. You're not even a half of me. You're not exposed. You're a village mentality type of a woman. And it kills you. So most of you here are spending your salary trying to buy someone a gift. Do you really want me to go there? Maybe I should just stop there. Do you really want me to go there? Yeah, you're spending your salary trying to make a man like you. But there's nothing you can do to make a man who doesn't like you. Nothing you can do to turn somebody who has a dislike on you to like you. You can't buy a car to be liked. You can't buy them a house to be liked. You can't give them money to be liked. I'm preaching to somebody and they are quiet in here. You can't do nothing. You can't buy them coffee to be liked. You can't take them to London. Am I talking to anybody? You can't take them to the US. You can't buy them a car. What doesn't like you? Nothing you can do for it to like you. And every woman that has a good head knows what doesn't like her. Time is over, so let me leave you alone. Okay. She knows. She knows. She knows what doesn't like her. Something that likes you, you can always tell. What doesn't like you, you can tell. Stop fooling around with people that don't like you. Stop hanging around people that are not wowed by you. Stop hanging around a guy, even if he has a Mercedes Benz. You don't need to sell your self-esteem for something you can afford for yourself. It's just but a matter of time. What doesn't like you, you don't need it around you. You need to hang around a woman that believes you're beautiful, that believes you are intelligent, that believes you are stronger than your weakness. You need to hang around a guy that is not attracted to your car or your house or your hairstyle. They are attracted to your greatness, and they can tell you, I'll go to hell to make you happy. No matter what you do, I'm here standing. I'll kill to have you. Am I talking to anybody here? They gotta like you. If they like you, you will know. But Leah was hated. What do you do when the hatred is on the rise? You focus on the production. The most productive women are those that have more dislikers. Oh, my God, my God. Hagar, Leah, Hagar. We preach about them. I have been hearing messages about Leah from when I was a child. There used to even be a song. Mapenduzi ya baba na mama walimjua. We preached about Leah. We preached against her from when we were young. We demonized her, but she had nothing to do with the conspiracy. We preach against her, but she had nothing to do with the conspiracy. We preach about Hagar. Every married woman would stand up and say, Hagar must go. Hagar must go. But the God we serve is a God of justice. I came asking God, give justice to a woman that is going to show up in the conference today. Give justice to a woman who loves so much and she gets less. Give justice to one that is giving a high deal but getting a raw deal. Give justice to one that is dealing with disadvantage. And I want to talk to disadvantaged women. If you came here and there's no disadvantage in your life, everything is just flowing, then this is not your sermon. I didn't come for you. I came to a woman that does makeup during the day and does eyelashes and increases her eyelashes and does her lipstick and shows up like everything is all together, but at night a tear will hit the pillow as she's asking God, when are you gonna change this thing? That's the woman I came for. And if that happens to be you, I needed to look for another sister somewhere and say, today is a day of vengeance and a day of justice. Give them a high five and tell them, God has heard your cry and something is about to happen. Let me tell you, by the way, the women at the House of Grace here in Nairobi West, before we step out of the year 2017, God is about to do something that will validate your tears and bring your miseries to a stop. I need you to shout yes. Give 17 people a high five and tell them, I am the one God is coming for. I'm the one. I need justice. For every day I cried, for every moment I wept, for every day of shame I came for justice. Somebody shout yes. If you are ready for the next level, I need you to shout and make the devil mad right now. No, you're whispering. I didn't tell you to whisper. I told you to shout. Every disadvantaged girl in this house, God is about to show up in your future. Make a door where there was no door. Lift your hands and shout yes. Disadvantage. The people who take advantage of a woman, they have to find her fault. To Hagar, it's the baby. Can I preach in House of Grace here? You know how a preacher preaches is determined by your demand. You can't just sit there like this and behave like nothing is going on. I need someone talking to me to keep me going. Am I talking to anybody here? I need a woman telling me you're talking to me. I need another one to shake their head and say the devil is in trouble. Am I talking to anybody here? Look at your neighbor, tell them, hey neighbor, for all the days you cried, today the devil is gonna pay. I assure you, the devil is going to pay dearly before this day is over. He's going to pay for all the pain he caused you, for all the days you cried in your bedroom all alone. He's going to pay. He'll pay until God in heaven shows up and gives you a blessing that he wouldn't have given you before. Somebody shout yes. So they have to look for the fault. Have to look for the fault. The fault for Hagar is Ishmael. The creator of the fault is Sarai. She needed a baby so desperately that she created the wrong baby and then made an innocent girl to pay for her fault. The thing that happens among women mostly is blame game. It's you. And she will be blamed because it has already been preached in the minds of the people. She's weak. Weak things defend. They are defendless. But I heard God say, when you're weak, so they'll put it on her. If the marriage failed, they'll say she's the one. She's the reason. Until songs have been sung all over. Matatizo yote inaletwa na wewe. Mwanzo wa maneno ni wewe. She's defenseless, disadvantaged woman. So you have to find her fault, because you can't easily pin her down unless you find it. God help if they find a text on your phone. They'll kill you with it for 10 years. I have gotten so many love texts on my phone almost every day. Because every building you enter now, you have to leave your number at the gate. You don't know who has your number. You can't tell. It doesn't take time, mom, for you to wake up to a text and say, I can't wait to see you. Thank you for last night. And somebody will find that and refer to you as a wicked woman for a text that came that you had nothing to do about. We're living on the days of true caller, where someone will just put a number and it will bring up your name. Blame game. She is the reason she must go. At least she came to you, Sarai, without a child. At least send her away and keep the child. You asked for the child. Don't send her away with a child. She asked for, you asked for the child. She asked for a job. You're sending her away without the job, without the salary, with a child that she never asked for. Disadvantage. For Hannah, her fault is that she can't bear. The fault of Hannah is beyond her control. God gives children. God chooses when to give children. God chooses when to let someone get married. And nothing is so painful like when you can be blamed for something you have no control of. Desperation for a child is why Rachel would say things like, give me a child or I die. It's a desperation. I must have. I must have. And if I don't have, then I am nothing. I'm a worthless woman. But it's a lie. The pain wasn't that Hannah didn't have a child. The pain was somebody's criticizing her for her fault, for something that is weak in her life. Say you're barren. If you come from where I come from, and I won't tell you where I come from for security purposes, they say when you don't have a baby, you're just a filler of the toilet, a finisher of the food, and they will treat you like garbage. And if your husband is not strong enough to defend you, you will go through hell and still show up with lipstick in the morning, and nobody will ever know what you had to face. Disadvantaged. The shutdown is about a disadvantaged woman. She had nothing to do with it. And Penina wakes up every morning, and when she sees her go into the toilet, because in the Hebrew culture we didn't have toilets in the house. The Hebrews don't build toilets in the house. Apart from the ones that are civilized now, there wasn't that. And so whenever she would be seen passing, either going to the bathroom or to help herself, say, Penina, you're just filling the toilet. You are unproductive, barren woman. But she will still go and worship. Do you know how food tastes like when it is served on your table, but before you eat it, you've been insulted? Now I understand why the two portions never made sense to Hannah. The double portion It never made sense to her, Mom, because it came in the midst of insults. If I came at your house and you gave me food and insulted me, say you're just this guy that comes eating in people's houses, take that food. Today is the last day. The next time, you take away my appetite. Regardless of how sweet the food was, I tell you, hey, have it. And don't you ever look at a woman and tell them don't give up, because you have to know the difference between giving up and when you have had enough. Oh, I'm preaching here. You have to know when she had enough was enough. The double portion she was given, she left it on the table and went to the house of God to finish the thing that was finishing her. This shutdown has to go over. And it goes over when a woman begins to worship in prayer that has never been heard before. You know, I was doing a study and found out that God said, make peace with your wife, lest your prayers be hindered. And I found out the reason why God advised every man that way is because if she prays against you, no prayer you will pray and revoke what she said. She went to the house of God, and the scripture says she looked like she was speaking, but her words was not being heard. Don't you afflict a woman that she starts praying without saying something. And I want to advise the men that are here, you have to be afraid of your wife the day she's not talking. Hey, Nyeri. Women, when they're both about something, they talk about it. When a man is both about something, they're introverts. Majority of them, they withdraw to think about it. You will ask your hubby, baby, what's wrong? Say, nothing. It doesn't really mean that there's nothing. It means they're thinking about it. But a woman, by the time she's thinking, she's talking. Okay, did I just get you right? Did I just caught you somewhere here? The moment she's thinking about it, she's talking about it. You got to be afraid and be more comfortable the day she's talking, because you can at least tell what is in her mind. Don't afflict her that she gets to a place and you see her mouth moving, but her words are not heard. She went, didn't talk to no one. And she said, God, you are God all over the earth. If you would remember this nothing woman, this maid, this good for nothing woman, if you would remember me, and don't just give me a child, give me a male child. Because the child male meant that my future will be shielded. I will never have to go through what I had to go through before. What she was asking for a man who could defend her. Because the first man, even though he loved her, he couldn't understand what it felt to be her. The only person that could feel what it felt to be her is her own born baby. Her own son has to come forth. So I thought I would come talk to you from these three women and tell you that whether you are the legal wife or the illegal wife, you all will deal with disadvantage. So God showed up and found this little young lady weeping somewhere, all alone by herself. And by the way, before I even go farther from this, a woman was never meant to be alone. And when the first one tried to be alone, the serpent came. You can be married, but still be alone. Or you won't talk to me. I know you're trying to behave like you don't know what I'm saying, but I know you know what I'm saying. You can be married and still be alone. So Hagar, for the first time, she is alone. She sat, but where she sat, oh, you need to get this. Where she sat is very, very prophetic, because even when you are in the peak of your frustration, God will use your frustration to take you in the right place. She sat next to a spring. Am I talking to someone here? She sat next to a spring, and the baby was aside crying. She is just about to throw the baby in the toilet. She's going to be turned into a murderer simply because somebody couldn't respect her. She's going to turn into a killer. The women that throw babies in the toilets and throw them in the seas and leave them in the highways and the gates of people, they didn't want to do it. Somebody simply undermined her, killed her self-esteem, and now she just wants to die. And before she dies, she's going to kill this thing that made her lose the job and lose everything that she has. Pain in a woman's heart will make heaven shut up. Pain, the tears that fall from the heart, will make a man's job go from up there to down. Don't you, as a married man, cheat on her, break her spirit, break her heart? She doesn't know. She may not know, but she feels it. The day you changed, she felt it. The day you started to disrespect her, she felt it. She always feels when the trend has changed. The name used to be Honey, now is Nyinawanya Godye. She knows when things, Nyabura, where has I? Before it used to be baby. Now it's Nyagodye, Elia my haha. She can tell when the trend has changed. I use this when I talk to men. I say, do not introduce a trend to a woman that you will not sustain. Because she adapts to it. The day you call her Esther, she will be hot because she adapted a trend. So if you won't sustain honey, don't call it. Oh, I'm preaching to someone here. If you won't sustain baby, don't call it. Don't trend it. Because the day it trends, it creates a cycle in her mind. And she's adapted to that the day it changes, it becomes the reason why she won't believe in herself. So she was turned into one who just wants to die. But hear me, in this place she sat, God came there. I came with a prophetic word. Before 2017, God is coming to where you are. Your amen is in the hospital. It's not even in church. This am I talking to? He's coming to where you are. No place is too low that he can't reach. No place is too dirty that he can't show up. He will show up in Kibera. It doesn't matter where you live. If there is a treasure for him to find out, he will show up. Give me some sound here. Look at your neighbor. Tell them, neighbor, God is about to show up. In fact, I want to prophesy to every woman that is seated at this tent today. Before December, you're going to have your Christmas early, because God is coming to where you are, the place of your pain. Am I preaching to anybody here? Give 7 people a high five and tell them where you are is where he's coming. I say give someone a high five, tell them where you are is where he's coming. I came to preach a sermon to somebody seated in this house. Monitors, please. I came to preach to someone that is seated in this tent. You can never be too low that he can't come to where you are. You can never be too ugly that he won't show up where you are. You can't be ever divorced that he can't show up where you are. He will find you in Chestus. He will find you in Madare. He will penetrate the high gates in Karen and heal your heart. Say yes. Say yes. Would you give 7 people a high five and tell them he's coming where you are? He's coming where you are. He's coming where you are. He's coming where you are. Tell your neighbor he's coming where you are. God is about to shame your shame. God is about to reject your rejection. I don't know who I'm preaching to. The next car you're going to drive as a woman of destiny, it will be an answer to your critics. It will be a response of God. Am I preaching to anybody here? Get ready for what is about to come. It's going to surprise you. It's going to take you from one level to another. I need you to say yes. Somebody shout yeah. Give 7 people a high five and tell them, neighbor, he's coming to where you are. I can't hear you. I can't hear you. I can't hear you. I want you to ignore the woman who is lazy next to you and look for the prophetic woman behind you and tell them, sister, he will find you where you are. The divorced woman, you can never be divorced too deeply that he can't reach you. He will reach you where you are. Some trust in horses, others trust in chariots, but we trust in the Lord our God. He will make a way where there seems not to be a way. The Lord is my light and my salvation. Whom shall I be afraid? The Lord is the strength of my life. Of whom shall I be afraid? Say yes. Shout yes. He sent me to tell the women, the king's daughters in this house, the shutdown in your life is... He sent me to tell you the shutdown in your life is over. Shout it's over. I can't hear you shout it's over. Go and start that company. You will make millions in a short time. Go and start that company. It won't go down. Tell the TNA party, or tell the Jubilee party, or tell the ODM party. There's some women at the House of Grace on this 5th of November 2016 that are about to show up. They
They have been through hell, but they survived the hell and back. Even the devil knows who they are. If you're that type of woman, give Jesus a shout. Yeah. Give 7 people a high five and tell them, my sister, you have no idea what I have been through. Come on, give 7 people a high five and tell them, my sister, you have no idea what I've been through. I went through hell. I went through struggle. I almost let go. I almost gave up. But the Lord is my shield and my salvation. He held me together when everything was going down. Say yeah. Say yeah. I'll sing of the Lord's goodness. I'll tell of his wonders in the morning. The humble shall hear about it and be full of joy. To you that was called a prostitute, you are the one God is looking for next. To you that was humiliated, get ready for a new level. Yeah. Somebody say yes. Look for 10 women and tell them, woman, I'm coming right behind you. Tell them again, I'm coming right behind you. I'm the one coming next. I'm the one coming next. I say talk to 7 women, tell them, I am coming after you. I'm the one coming next. The next biggest idea is coming out with me. I am the beauty of the moment. I am the dream of the time. I am the opportunity about to happen. I am the door about to open. I am the heavens about to shut open. Say yes. Shout yeah. Every disadvantaged woman, you love the guy who left you. Get ready for 2017. I don't care where the guy will come from. All that I know, the earth and the fullness thereof belongs to God. He will ship a guy from Jamaica, shift a guy from Dallas, Texas. He will somebody from Sweden. He will make a way where there seems not to be a way. He's a God who makes a way. The guy who walked away from you, don't walk after them. He who chases you away, he shows you the way. You are about to come to a level of increase. Who am I preaching to in here? Lift your hands and shout yes. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. I say yes. And so Hagar, God spoke to her and said, what are you doing here? Stand up, Hagar, and take the water and drink, because you are about to be treated like a first-class woman you were. He said, Hagar, your days of pain are over. Am I preaching to anybody here? Am I preaching to anybody here? Ishmael was the long son, but because of the treatment that this woman was treated with, that's why we have the Islamic nation. No matter how much you pray, you can never finish them, because God looked at the afflictions of Hagar and said a statement that he can never change, and he said, I will multiply your descendants and your son Ishmael will become great. Am I preaching to anybody here? Look at your neighbor, tell them, neighbor, he blessed me in the place of pain. It was in the place of pain, and Hagar stood up and took the baby and took of the stream, and she drank it, and she went back her way. That's what is about to happen to you. It's what is about to happen to some. Is what is about to happen to somebody here. Is what is about to happen to somebody here. Lift your hands and shout, yeah. Hagar, your child is blessed. She'll become a millionaire. His brothers will be threatened by him. Hannah, get ready for the prophetic assignment. Samuel is coming. The shutdown is over. You are in a season of opportunity. Leah, God will help you to forget every struggle you went through. Somebody say yeah. Shout yeah. 1,000 may fall on your side, 10,000 on your right side, but they shall not come near you. Only with your eyes shall you behold the destruction of the wicked. You are in your season. You are in your time. Every woman that is listening to me, give the Lord a shout. Yeah. Yes. Somebody say yes. Shout yes. But I got to stop. Somebody shout yes. Shout again yes. You will remember years later a young man who came to the second last meeting of the king's daughters in the year 2016. Because you are the star in the movie. If you're going to be a watcher of the movie, one of the things I do is watch a movie to relax my head. That's what I do for fun. And if you're going to be a good movie watcher, before you continue with the movie, the first thing you got to do is to identify the star of the movie. Once you identify the star in the movie, then you know people will die, but you know who will not die. I wish I had somebody to preach to in here. You gotta know who is the star. You have to know who is the star in the movie, because you are the star in the movie. People will die. The woman tried to take away your husband. She may fight for a longer time, but you know who will not die. You are the star. You will come out stronger. You come out wiser. You come out better. Somebody shout yes. The shut down. The way you say it, if someone told you that you, the divorced woman, is about to marry a king, how would you shout? If someone told you, you who didn't have nothing at your disposal, God is about to turn you into a supplier of the entire nation, how would you shout? Yeah, how would you shout? If I told you America is waiting for your idea, London is waiting for your idea, take your Beauty and Actor movie, it will shake the entire universe, how would you shout? If I told you God has just remembered you, lift your hands and shout. Hey. Yeah. Somebody say yes. Ooh. God is about to do something. I feel like shouting. I feel like screaming. Oh! God is about to make a door where there was no door. The joker that told you you don't deserve him, invite them for the wedding. April 2017. And don't walk in a hurry. Walk slowly and take your time. Somebody say yeah. Stand on your feet. I'm done. All those things to tell you that you can do more with your disadvantages than you can with your advantage. That's all. That's all I was trying to say. Don't you ever shut down your future and your gift because of one stage of a disadvantage. Because God is going to use it. He will use the disadvantage to bring you to a place of opportunity. My eyes are open. House of Grace is about to be known again. And I'll tell you how. In fact, the second glory of this church is too big. You've never seen it. The next time you hold this meeting, even the attendance will not be the same. I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why. Because God is about to use the women to bring the former rain and the latter rain, all of it together in 1 year. Which year? 2017. Like you don't know what I'm talking about. Shout like you believe what I'm saying. I gotta stop here.